pop is the key to almost every flat ground trick that exists, with the exception for only a few. There are different kinds of pops, and they have different uses. Understanding how each pop works and why exactly they work will definitely help you throughout skating for a long time. Skating is a mostly mental sport, and if you feel like you have a good understanding of something, it will be a lot easier to learn and build from that. The first kind of pop is the most basic one, and it's used in the majority of flat ground tricks. You have your foot in the middle of the tail and push directly down or slightly backwards. You use it in an ollie, kickflip, 180s, and any trick where the board stays parallel to your feet the whole time. To perfect it, you just need to practice ollies. But if you're watching this, I'd assume you don't have those down yet. Your foot doesn't go all the way to the ground with this pop, so to get the feel for it, I recommend standing next to your board and putting your foot on the tail. Push down a little, just enough to send the tail to the ground, but lift your foot up right before it actually hits the concrete. This will help insanely with all your regular pop tricks in the future, because a lot of beginners do something called rocket ollies or like rocket tricks, and they sound cool but they're a bad thing. A rocket ollie is when you pop the ollie, but the board never levels out. It kind of just goes in the air at an angle and not all that high. Practicing lifting your foot up during your pop really helps level out the board and gives you better height. When you get to learning the actual ollie, you can practice it even better by bringing your knees up to your chest or as high as you can to make it even higher and, in my opinion, look cooler. This is exactly why people do like things called boned ollies, which is whenever you bring your knees up really high and like tilt them out in front of you, and it looks really, really cool in my opinion. This kind of pop is for board rotation tricks. Different from the rotation during a backside or frontside 180 though, because in those tricks it's just your body that's turning during a normal ollie and your board just follows. For a scoop, your board just spins on its own in the direction you scoop it in, like in pop shove-its or big spins, or any kinds of varial flips. The first trick you'll probably use them in are shove-its, which technically have no pop but use the same motion. The only difference between a shove-it and a pop shove-it is you use less force so the tail doesn't hit the ground. To practice the scoop, do the same thing you did with the normal pop and stand next to your board with your foot on the tail, but this time, depending on how much you want to scoop, hang your toes off the side, further if you want more rotation, and further back if you want less. Scoop the board and try and catch it with your back foot and stomp. If you get this down consistently, you've almost got a pop shove it. And all you need to do is do the same thing but on the board and catching with your front foot first. An extra tip for these is to try not to scoop your back foot forward or backward. Instead, scoop it in the direction of your front foot. Drag it diagonally toward your front foot. This will help keep the board under your feet and stop it from flying away. These ones aren't very important to the majority of people watching this video yet because they're only used in more advanced tricks. They're used in flip tricks, but instead of flipping the board by flicking it with your front foot, the pressure on the side of the board as you pop rotates the board to flip it. To do these, you just put your back foot near an edge of the tail, depending on what specific pressure flip you're trying to do. And as you ride, you put a lot of pressure on the board so it's tilted. Then when you remove your front foot and release all the pressure, your tail flies up from the ground and it pops into a flip. I'm going to be honest with you guys, even I'm not at that level yet, but I put it in this video because it's still a major kind of pop that's used a lot in skating. I would give you some tips on it, but I shouldn't teach something I don't have the experience in, just in case I give some advice that leads somebody to failure. So if you feel ready to learn a pressure flip, you should check out some other channels on YouTube like Braille Skateboarding. They've taught thousands of skaters successfully, so they probably have better advice than me. I'm just trying to give people advice based on my personal experience. There are a few more kinds of pops, but they all fall under the types I've already just listed, with variations on the form. They vary trick by trick, so I can't explain all the different variations. You'll learn them just fine as you learn the tricks that require them, so don't stress it. I hope you've gotten some kind of entertainment or information from this, even if it wasn't much. Thanks for taking your time to watch this video to the end. If you liked the video, I'd really appreciate it if you give it a like. If you have the time, go through my channel, see if you like any other videos, and if you do, maybe even subscribe. Thank you, I really do appreciate it. Love and peace. Good luck skating. Phi on gang. Peace, motherfucker.